Minute 10, Resurrection. Glitchtrap is a virus that was scanned into the game we are testing in Help Wanted. Help Wanted is a very odd game story-wise. We play as a playtester who is testing the Freddy Fazbear Experience, which is the in-universe game. The anomaly, as it's referred to by Tape Girl, was actually generated when Fazbear Inc. provided the company that created the game with hard drives that they were meant to scan to use in-game. They supposedly contained code that would help make pathfinding easier and just make actually coding the game easier. However, it ended up creating something, an anomaly that started slowly controlling the game code, the one we now know as Glitchtrap. But the thing is, this isn't the first time we've seen the character, he just wasn't in this form. Minute 9, Merging. One of the endings of FNAF VR has you merging with Glitchtrap, and while most of YouTube thinks that you and Glitchtrap are just switching places, that's not what merging means. I'm different. I actually listen. So if you take the actual definition of merging, meaning to combine, then the end of the game really shows us that we are in fact becoming one with Glitchtrap. Why does he need us? We don't know yet, but assumingly he will be the villain of the next FNAF game, so maybe we will learn more about it then. But basically, this point is that we are merging with Glitchtrap, not switching places with him. Sorry to burst your bubble, MatPat, but honestly, it kinda feels good. Just kidding, MatPat, I love your videos. Please don't block me. Minute 8, Game Tag. The game files always have their own way of naming things. Later that night for FNAF 6's Midnight Motorist game, etc. And FNAF VR isn't any different. While we all refer to him as Glitchtrap, in the game he is referred to as the Anomaly by Tape Girl, and I guess technically the announcer who tells you not to interact with any of the tapes. But the game itself calls him Spring Bonnie Man, no spaces. This is what first tipped people off as to the identity of the masked killer. Well, along with the suit, the color of the bow, the color of his eyes, the fact that one certain individual is the only actual killer that we've seen. He is the only killer, right? The animatronics themselves don't count because they were made by him, so I'm pretty sure he was the only one. At 7, he is William Afton. His name is William Afton, and for one reason or another, he ended up killing kids and then stuffing them into animal-themed robotic suits. While that hasn't directly been confirmed, we can get as close as we can with some keen observation. Aside from the obvious, that being the similar MO to Afton, the stuffing kids in suits like Glitchtrap does in the Pizza Party ending, the color of the bow tie and eyes, particularly the eyes since they're the windows to the soul, but we can get even more confirmation with the Curse of Dreadbear, the Halloween DLC to Help Wanted. In this DLC, we can see Glitchtrap once, and it's on the hill next to the FNAF 4 house on the loading screen. You know, like that hub thing where you pick the games. If you press the button at the back of the monitor and then turn around to look at the car for 10 seconds, you will turn back around to see Glitchtrap doing his creepy freaking dance on the hill that's next to the hill that has the FNAF 4 house. So he's on a different hill, but it's like next to the other hill. We know for a fact that Scott uses his next game to clarify things from his last one, and with another 15 games and a whole new ending, that being the Corn Maze ending, this DLC is basically a new game. And him intentionally putting Glitchtrap next to the FNAF 4 house is pretty much confirmation. Plus, if you turn around to look at the car again, you will see that the car headlights change from white to purple, adding yet another layer of confirmation, but also potentially hinting at the fact that it was indeed William in the purple Midnight Motorist car. Minute 6, the suit. The suit that Glitchtrap wears wears the right word? Like, I mean, he is literally confirmed to be a video game entity, and they can't really wear stuff. The Glitchtrap suit seems to be fairly reminiscent of probably the first suit that Afton wore while working with or testing suits for Fazbear Inc., since he was on the robotic side of things and Henry was the creative and business side. Because obviously before they had spring-lock suits, they had to have normal suits. Notice the stitching around his joints and the 5 fingers, showing that someone would have had to be inside. Plus, the suit looks nothing like the Bonnie we know today, be it the normal Bonnie or hell even Springtrap. Those all have open joints unless it's a plate along the elbow, and not as many fingers if it's not one of the 2 suits that double as both animatronic and suits. So clearly old Willie Afton learned his lesson about those spring locks. Time to go back to basics, I suppose. Halfway through at number 5, Stuffed. In the Pizza Party ending, assuming you don't have the Christmas update and are playing in VR, your only option is to follow Glitchtrap onto the stage, where we will promptly be killed and placed into a Freddy animatronic, where the game ends. But this couldn't have been the original ending, right? Glitchtrap must have changed it by being in the game. This is shown to us by the fact that he is an anomaly, something that isn't supposed to be in the game, something that Tape Girl tried to contain, but couldn't, something that the announcer in this game reminds us to ignore on a regular basis whenever we come out of the tape room. He's there by mistake, so why does he have such a big role in the game? He shouldn't. The ending was altered by Glitchtrap as indicated by the announcer repeating the words bye-bye until we fade to black. That sounded hella off to me, as it was repeating itself because for some reason we weren't gone. Glitchtrap altered the ending to this game. The question is, from what? It had 4 fan name. It's actually kind of ironic. I've been calling him Glitchtrap this whole time, but the name was actually given to him by fans. There is no canon source that refers to him as Glitchtrap in-game. Tape Girl calls him the Anomaly, the game code calls him Spring Bonnie Man, and there are no references to Glitchtrap anywhere else in the game files. It was actually a name given to him by the community due to the similarities between him and Afton, because at that point we only thought he was Afton, but we couldn't be sure. This is also the only point where we actually physically see Afton in-game. We've seen Purple Guy and Springtrap, but those were only shadows and a hardly alive version of him. This is the closest we get to seeing his real proportions and really seeing how he is built in the eyes of Scott Cawthon, and thinking of that is pretty terrifying. And at 3, the plan. There was some form of overarching plan to the resurrection of William Afton. Like how seasons of TV shows have one main villain and then they deal with it over 20 episodes or whatever, while also dealing with the week-to-week villains. These games won't be different in that regard. Someone intentionally sought out the hard drives for the company to scan, potentially knowing that William left his consciousness inside, and William has some sort of plan in-game, whether MapPad is right and it's trying to start a cult in his name, or if he uses your body to escape the game, or if he needs the souls of people with the original names of his victims. Think of the beta testers before you, Jeremy and Tape Girl, potentially named Susie. There is a plan in motion by the end of Help Wanted, but what is it? Only Willie knows, and he ain't talking. Ultimately, and at number 2, Plushie. After defeating Glitchtrap in the 16 tapes ending, the one where you get sealed behind a steel door, Glitchtrap turns into a plushie beside you. This is reminiscent of the Plushtrap animatronic introduced at the Fun and Plushtrap minigame in FNAF 4's hallway. The one we get in Help Wanted though is more of an actual plushie than a crazed robotic killer, and glows in a neon green fashion instead of the normal yellow associated with the suit used by Afton. Wait. Does this make Afton a furry? A furry is defined as, in particular, a person who dresses up in costume as such an animal character with human characteristics, or that uses one as an avatar online. And I think killing kids in a yellow bunny suit in this scenario will count as being a furry, since also this is his avatar in this game instead of the iconic purple shadow. I think it counts even more. Finally, in at number 1, voice line. Now, with a full game like FNAF VR, there is bound to be plenty of lines of dialogue. In the original game, Scott was the phone guy himself, obviously, which cut back on costs. But Ultimate Custom Night is really where the voice department had an expanded budget thanks to Scott's mattress full of money from the other games in the series, and all those facial tissue sales. But when it comes to FNAF VR, we didn't get as much. We got the announcer from Pizzeria Simulator, we got Tape Girl, and we got Scott as phone guy again with the typical grunts and moans from the other games in the series. But one character who was distinctly lacking in voice lines was the main antagonist of the game, Glitchtrap. Out of everything that's happened in the game, he really only has one line of voice dialogue, yeah. And it's only heard if you beat him during the 16 tapes ending. He opens the door, shushes you, and then walks back into the darkness behind him. Out of all the times we see this character or he's mentioned, the only time we hear him speak is him telling his victim to shut up. That's hella creepy if you ask me, and a fitting line for such a terrifying and iconic character. And at 10, William Afton. I've said it before and I'll say it until the day this stops being an issue. Springtrap contains the body of William Afton inside. We see Purple Guy run into the Golden Spring Bonnie suit at the end of Five Nights 3, where due to the moisture in the air and William's rush, he ended up getting trapped inside thanks to the spring locks, and then he ends up collapsing, but take note, we never really see him die. He's just twitching, as he was in the trailer to that game, and while yes, Michael may be literally purple now, as his flesh decayed after Ennard entered him in Sister Location, just because he's literally purple doesn't mean he's the killer. And just because when Michael says, "I'm going to come find you" at the end of Sister Location, and then Springtrap appears, that does not mean that Springtrap is him. We see that Michael was at Sister Location, and this camera movement takes place at Fazbear Fright. That was burnt down by Henry in an attempt to kill William because we all know who did it. William is inside Springtrap, not Michael. Scott even confirmed this when talking about MatPat's timeline after Ultimate Custom Night came out, saying if you're hung up on the whole Will Trap versus Mike Trap debate, watch MatPat's video. And in that video, MatPat says that it is indeed William in the suit, not Michael. There you go, please, stop. And at 9, it's a suit. While the Springtrap suit contains William's body, it is still a suit. The Golden Bonnie animatronic was a spring-lock suit, which, as Phone Guide tells us, is a specially designed suit that doubles as both animatronic and suit. Meaning that the spring-lock mechanics in the Golden Bonnie suit would retract like some form of even more complex Iron Man and create enough room for a person to climb inside and wear like your normal Chuck E. Cheese suit. Obviously, they weren't amazingly designed since there were some flaws. Like when they get wet, the spring locks can close easily, which is why Michael got bit in FNAF 4 and why William got snapped while in the suit. The suit also is clearly meant to be a suit since it has 5 fingers and 5 toes, which the other suits are lacking in favor of 4 fingers and 3 toes. It's even more clear when looking at the secret menu screens for FNAF 3, where on rare occasions you can see a skinless William Afton trying to get out of the suit by prying the head open. Yeah, it's weird. And at 8, secret room. All Freddy Fazbear locations had a secret room, a room that was secret because it was invisible to the animatronics, meaning that while every other room was programmed into their pathfinding, this room wasn't, and because it was never mentioned to any customer. Only employees that were around before they sealed them up. Why did they seal up these rooms? Because William Afton was stuck inside one, and if they just closed the one, that would look kinda suspicious. Use twitching in the Spring Bonnie suit. This is seen in the FNAF 3 final minigame where we see William run into the suit and then collapse. This is the safe room as indicated by the fact that the Shadow Freddy can find it, but you as an animatronic are physically unable to enter because your pathfinding doesn't allow it. William uses this to hide inside and then dismantle you as you try to find him, but he ends up unintentionally releasing the spirits of the children he killed. After he gets snapped in the suit, they fade away, but are only really put to rest when you get the good ending and give Golden Freddy the party she wanted, even if it's not enough for her to let go, which is kinda salty. I mean, like, it must have been a really bad cake. Come on, puppet. Chop chop. And at 7, no head.
So no head?
The suit doesn't have an endoskeleton head, get your mind out of the gutter. It's actually impossible for it too, since even with the crazy advanced tech that these places have, you cannot move an endoskeleton head as they are presented in the games away enough for a normal head that just barely fits inside to fit inside. This is also shown in the menu screens when William is trying to remove the Springtrap head. There is no form of robotic head present. It's his eyes and his meat. How on earth would the face operate in the Springlock suit if there was no proper head? Is it just a different form of robot or like a different arrangement of parts to get everything working more efficiently? Because if that's the case, why isn't that the case with every animatronic? If it costs the company less to manufacture, I'm sure William would be fine with it if not encourage it, since he gets his daily fill of child murder and he saves a little bit of money on the side, so might as well. Well, maybe it's more expensive, but if that's the case, I'm sure it's easier to just make a separate suit than paying extra for a specially designed suit that doubles as both animatronic and suits. Like, just make a separate one. You can still kill kids in it. And at 6, no clear motive. We know that William Afton is the purple guy and that he is the Springtrap and that he is the killer, but what we don't know for sure is why. We know his boy gets chomped and then he sets out to put him back together as a robot, but he was killing kids before that even happened. What we don't know is why he's doing it. We know he sets out to create more Remnant in an effort to unlock the secrets to eternal life or something like that after he discovers Remnant, but why did he start killing kids in the first place? Did one act like Braith and just really piss him off? Was it just something he wanted to try? Is it some weird fetish? He clearly feels emotion since he felt sad after losing his son, sad enough to block out the woman Ballora represents from his life, but we don't know 100% why he killed Susie in the first place. Do you have any theories? Do you have any idea why he could have done it? Let me know in the comments because figuring this one out may be the key to solving the rest of the lore that we haven't really figured out already. And at 5, lie lures. He had to lure kids into the back room somehow, right? So dressed in the Spring Bonnie suit, he told kids all sorts of things to get them backstage. We know he told Susie, the girl who would later possess Chica, that he had her dog that was actually still alive, as indicated by the bleeding dog carcass in the Fruity Maze minigame and the whole Chica the high school year scene where she says, "I told them someone ran over his dog," or something like that.
He'll be mine by the end of the day. I just know it. I told him that someone ran over his dog in front of my house.
So we know he lies to bring kids backstage, where he ends up killing them for at this point unknown reasons, stuffs the bodies into the animatronics to hide them, and then leaves like nothing happened. It's like that meme where Pennywise is talking to Georgie and he's like, "I have brand new Pokemon cards down here," and then Georgie crawls in. Like, you know the one? For me it would be something like, "I have information about Stephen Amell returning as the Green Arrow down here." Or like I once made one that said, "I have all the other Pokemon you can't get in Sword and Shield down here." And that one would honestly get me. Pokemon is the one game that shouldn't need a DLC, okay? Forgot this was a FNAF list. And at 4, Scrap Trap. Scrap Trap is the same as Springtrap. Pink guy is purple guy, is Springtrap, is Scrap Trap, is William Afton. There's an entirely separate debate online that is along the lines of William is Springtrap but Michael is Scrap Trap or something like that, and it's just ridiculous. Why would that be true? The only Spring Bonnie suit we know of is the one that William was inside before the events of Pizzeria Simulator. For those of you who don't know, Scrap Trap is the version of Springtrap you find outside of the pizzeria in the back alley, like where you find Scrap Baby, Molten Freddy, and Lefty. And in accordance to paragraph 4, you bring it inside so that when the pizzeria burns at the end of the week, everyone who needed to be set free with fire, since that's the only way to destroy remnants, can be set free. Scrap Trap is just a further decayed version of Springtrap. It's not a separate character, it's not its own thing, it's not Michael or anyone new. It's Springtrap, it's William, they are all one and the same. And 3, Ultimate Custom Night. We can all agree at this point that Ultimate Custom Night takes place in hell, and we play as William Afton dealing with the torture we deserved for killing all those kids, but specifically the one we should not have killed. However, the confusing thing to me is that in Ultimate Custom Night, while we play as William Afton, we can also play against animatronics like Springtrap and Scrap Trap, which are indeed versions of us. This is confusing to me, but it makes me wonder, not about Willie being Springtrap, but about what the mechanics of this are. I suppose it could be that he did indeed create that monster, since he hid in the suit to feel more powerful when confronting the spirits, or perhaps it's because it was made of remnant, or it could have just been that the characters available are the ones that Afton deemed his greatest failures in his mind. It's even more confusing that in the game code, Scrap Trap is referred to as William Afton. Scott. I know you're clarifying that Scrap Trap is William, but that throws a whole lot more wrenches into this than there should be for a final game in the original story. Come on. And 2, names. Springtrap has gone by many names, some being before the name was known, like when the Five Nights 3 trailer came out, some being just simple mistakes. However, they all existed, and technically you could also say that Springtrap went by all the names that the Purple Guy did, since they're the same person, but I'm going to ignore that. Springtrap has also been known as, well, Springtrap, William Afton, Michael Afton, Scrap Trap, Spring Bonnie, Golden Bonnie, and most interestingly, Hybrid. This name was brought on when the trailer for Five Nights 3 was released, and technically it was right. The fans assumed that Hybrid was in fact a hybrid of all the toy animatronics which he used to build himself, which could have been the inspiration for creation from The Joy of Creation. But in fact, Springtrap is just a hybrid of human and animatronic suit, not being entirely one or the other, hence why I refuse to put him in the scariest animatronics list, especially since I don't really find him that scary. But Amanda put him on when she took apart, but despite that, I still stand by my viewing. I stand by my reasoning, okay? He's not entirely an animatronic. He's still in the suit. We never see him die. Finally, in at number 1, oldie but a goodie. This suit is one hell of an old suit, not to mention how long William was stuck inside it, but this suit dates back all the way to Fredbear's Family Diner, which is crazy, and even if they had this technology when that diner was prominent, that makes me even more concerned about how this thing was Iron Man levels of advanced. And while the decay on Springtrap makes that evident, it confuses me as to how it started to break down when Golden Freddy, a spring lock that is as old if not older than Spring Bonnie, seems fine in the first game. I think it's because those holes and rips were in fact made by William when he was trying to escape the suit. We see him trying to pry off the head, so it would make sense why he would have torn off bits of fur or even removed the whole foot in an effort to be set free. What do you guys think about the Springtrap decay? Let me know your thoughts down below.
Number 10, William Afton. So, who is the purple guy, you may ask? There are a few theories surrounding this, but one is that he is the man known as William Afton. William Afton is the creator and operator of Afton Robotics Incorporated, which is pretty terrifying considering that is the company that supplied Fazbear Entertainment with their animatronics. Spooky? You bet. You get to visit Afton Robotics in the FNAF game's sister location. Number 9, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Afton is the young daughter of William Afton and the sister to Michael Afton. William created Circus Baby for her, and she is a minor character in the sister location game. She wanted to play with Circus Baby, but her father told her to stay away from the animatronic due to it not being deemed safe enough yet for his daughter. However, when her dad wasn't looking during a birthday party, she snuck off to play with Circus Baby and was lured away from the other children with ice cream that Circus Baby gave her. Circus Baby killed little Elizabeth with a claw that burst forth from her chest. Unfortunately, no one could hear Elizabeth's screams for help over the loud cheering and squeals of delight coming from the other children who were excited over the other animatronics. Ooh. Number 8. Hostile animatronics. Not only did Purple Man potentially make the animatronics if he truly is William Afton, but he was also responsible for messing with the animatronics facial recognition software at Freddy's. In FNAF 2, it is revealed that this was tampered with after William complained about the working conditions of the night shifts, and was moved to the daytime shift as a result. During this time, children went missing, and the animatronics programming was altered to make them act hostile towards employees of Freddy's. I think you see what could have happened next there. Number 7. Michael Afton. Michael Afton is William's son and Elizabeth's brother, who is also known by his nickname Eggs Benedict. In Sister Location, you play as Michael, who is revealed to be on a mission to find his sister and set her spirit free. However, Michael is tricked into entering the scooping room by Enard, who also has Elizabeth's consciousness within it. In the scooping room, you as Michael have your insides scooped out before Enard wears your skin like a suit, so that they may leave the facility and go out into the world. How lovely. It is speculated that Michael may also be the Purple Man instead of William, or maybe in addition to William? Could there be two of them? You decide. Number 6. Serial killer. The Purple Guy has been confirmed as the murderer of at least 5 missing children throughout the games. In the first FNAF game, you discover that he was responsible for luring at least 2 children to the back room, who mysteriously then vanished. Later on in the franchise, you discover via mini-games that he also murdered a child outside of the pizzeria, and that a total of 5 children taken to the back room were killed and stuffed into animatronic suits. Number 5. Springtrap. In FNAF 3, we discover that Springtrap, the game's main antagonist, contains the corpse of William Afton. While fleeing the vengeful spirits of the 5 children that he murdered, he finds himself cornered. Quickly, he thinks to hide himself in a spring Bonnie suit, being careful to avoid injury. Initially. However, the suit's spring locks malfunction due to water damage and sudden movements that William makes, resulting in him being sliced apart while inside the suit, and crushed by its inner mechanisms. What a way to go. You can still see his remains through the tears in Springtrap's suit. Number 4. Scrap Trap. Scrap Trap is a far more frightening iteration of Springtrap. This version appears in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. The suit now appears to have even more tears and has a more withered looking appearance, missing a limb, and with more tendons belonging to the corpse within it visible. Number 3. Rotting Away. Part of the reason why some think that Michael Afton could be the Purple Man is because of the color of his skin. The purple color is speculated to represent his skin rotting away following the scooping room incident in Sister Location, while Michael's consciousness lives on within. In mini-games within Ultimate Custom Night, we witness what happened to Enard and Michael after leaving the facility. We see his skin change from pale to tan to green to brown to almost like this blue and then deep purple. Number 2. Trapped in Hell. It's believed that in Custom Night, where you can customize which animatronics can come at you as you attempt to survive, you are playing as William Afton, who is now trapped in hell, with the never-ending nights that make up the individual games that you play representing William's eternal punishment for the murders that he was responsible for. Additionally, the Old Man Consequences Easter egg has been used to argue the likelihood of this claim. What do you think? Do you think that game is all about you playing as William Afton, you're trapped in hell? Let us know in the comments. Number 1. Father versus son. After Michael Afton turns purple in the minigames we previously touched on, he starts to convulse and ends up vomiting out the parts of Enard. His empty skin collapses on the ground with nothing to hold it up, and he appears to be dead. However, we then see him miraculously awaken, alive. And if you beat Golden Freddy on very hard mode in Custom Night, you get to find out what happens next in his story. That is, after he left, now with Enard inside him. A cutscene reveals Michael talking to his father in a burned down Fazbear's Fright. Michael explains that he has freed his sister, but at great cost to himself. He should be dead, but finds himself somehow still alive. And he vows that he is coming to find his father. The cutscene finishes with Springtrap popping into the frame. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this list gave you a better understanding of Purple Man and just how tragic and terrifying his character really is, whichever one it may be.